Something I wanted to start off with is what we've been hearing for PDI is a biblical, God-driven way of looking at development or personal growth. However, investments, most people think of it as money, something ya dunia. But actually, Christ talked about investments. And he talked about it. All of you have heard of the parable of the talents. Who has heard of it? Parable of the talents? Okay. What most people don't understand is the parable of the talents is not about talents or gifts. It's about money. So what was a talent? A talent was equivalent to 6,000 denarii. So what was 6,000 denarii? It was a unit of payment every day when you worked as a laborer. So one talent was equivalent to 20 years of work. How many of you have worked over 20 years? 20 years of working? Okay, we have some. Neither have I. I haven't worked 20 years. I've just done 8. And so the parable goes this way, simply. There's a master. He's going on a long trip. This is Matthew 25. And he leaves 3 people and says, person 1, I'm giving you 5 talents. That's almost 100 years of work. I'm giving you 5 talents. Person 2, I'm giving you 2 talents. Person 3, I'm giving you 1 talent. So I'm going away. When I come back, I'll see you later. So what does person 1 do? Take the 5 talents, trade it, and they generate 5 talents extra. So how many talents do they have in total? How many? 10, yes. Okay. Person 2 grows their 2 talents, and now they have an additional 2. How many talents do they have? Great. Tuko pamoja, right? Fantastic. And then person 1 is like, I need to ensure that I protect this money. So he goes, hides this money, puts it, hides it in the sand, keeps it there. Basically, we've heard, put your money under the blanket. He basically does that. Then the master comes and asks them, okay, come, each of you 3, what did you do with your talent? Person 5 says, I had 5 talents you gave me, you entrusted me, I gave you 5 more, so you have 10 talents. Master says, good, faithful servant, you have done well. Person 2 comes, you gave me 2 talents, I only did 2, I have 4. He says the same thing, well done, good and faithful servant. Person 1 says, I hid my money in the ground, or my talent. I didn't generate anything, but at least I gave you the same. You gave me 1, I gave you 1. The master says, wicked servant, slothful. Slothful is basically lazy servant. I banish you and take you away. And it's very important to think about that. Each person was given different talents. And this is not talent of gifts. This is money. And they used it in different ways. The master didn't expect each of them to have the same amount. He didn't expect the person with 5 talents to get to 50. He didn't expect the person with 2 talents to get to 20. But he did expect someone to generate something out of it, to invest it, right? The one person he did not was called wicked, was called lazy. And it's very important, why did Christ do that in that world? And how does it apply to us today? And it applies very much so because each and every one of us is given different amounts of money, that be it pocket money as students. When you're working, you're given your salary. When you're doing, if it's a contract job, you're given some money at the end of the work. And you're entrusted with that money to invest it. Because at the end of the day, if you go out of your work and you come out with 0, you might end up being called wicked and slothful. So I hope with this class, it'll be brief, but hopefully you learn something about investing and something you can start from someone who's in school to someone who's working and someone who's retired. Anyone can apply that. So I hope all of us, by the end of this journey of learning this, and by the end of our lives, God will tell us, I gave you custodian of this amount of talents, and you are a well and faithful servant. So who wants to be a faithful servant? Fantastic. Okay, you can go next. Next. So, yes. So just speaking briefly about Nabo Capital so you understand who we are. So we are a company that has been there through our parent company for over 50 years. Our parent company is known as Centum Investments. Who knows Centum? Who's ever heard of Centum? Good. Yeah, so Centum are known for being the largest investment company in Africa. They're the ones who built Two Rivers. Who's been to Two Rivers? At least most of us, yes. So they are our parents. They own us, and we came through, and we've been there for 50 years. So Centum started in 1954 and has been growing ever since. Next. And the things that we do as Nabo Capital, we offer 3 services. One is we offer wealth management. Basically, this is helping individuals like myself, like yourselves, to achieve your dreams and to be able to meet your aspirations. The particular ones is, the most important one is financial freedom. We all want to be free in one way or another. That's why we work, so we can have our money work for us. You don't want to be working throughout your career and you don't have your money working for you, right? So it's important to get that financial freedom. And with that, we'll explain how to do that through Invest with Purpose that you've heard been mentioned. Second thing we do is for companies. We also work for companies, and we try to help them generate more income to grow their capital so they can support growth for their businesses and be able to manage liquidity, basically money that they'll be using on a day-to-day basis to become a bigger business. And then lastly is advisory. We try to connect people who have money or people who have money to the people who are looking for money so they can come together and form a partnership. And so with that, we'll speak about Invest with Purpose. And, okay, so investing with purpose starts with first looking at Maslow's hierarchy of needs. Who's ever heard of Maslow's hierarchy of needs? A good number, good number. Okay. So basically, these are the things you've heard of as like the basic needs, and it grows. So Maslow expanded this into 5 frontiers. So the first one we all try to get to is physiological needs, or your basic needs. That's your food, your water, your clothing. So once you've achieved that, you go to your safety. It means that if you haven't achieved this level of needs, then it becomes very difficult for you to climb up, because sometimes you struggle over here. So once you've achieved that, you go to your safety. So what's your safety? Having security, just feeling that, okay, you're at a safe place, right? Then now beyond your security, you've achieved your food, water, clothing, that is good. You have your security. Then now you go to your third need, which is your belongingness and love needs. And this is for everyone, male, female, Christian and Christian, every human being, African and African, everyone. Belongingness and love needs. Now people crave for intimate relationships. People crave for friends. And then after you've achieved that, you go to your esteem needs. Now you're looking for things like prestige and accomplishment. And then lastly is where you'd say most accomplished people are here. Self-actualization, so achieving one's full potential and every other endeavor. So when we're looking at that from an investment perspective, maybe I can come here, is one is we look at it from a lifestyle portfolio. So that's food, clothing, shelter, as I've mentioned. So how can you use your investments to help you secure that if you're trying to meet that particular goal in your life? Then after that, you need your security, which we call the security portfolio. So this is your education, if you're looking for further studies, healthcare, which is important when you fall sick. Do you have the money necessary to cater when that arises? And also, very important, home ownership. And something beyond that is also looking at emergency funds. So if something emergency comes up, it could be your emergency, it could be your family's emergency. Are you able to have something to help someone out? And also looking at, Coach Irene mentioned vacations. at least having some rest? Are you able also to pay that? So that's very important. And then third is your aspirational portfolio. Okay, so here are needs that are beyond the basic ones. So the basic ones are the physiological and the safety. And now beyond that is an extra need. So things like a good car, something like philanthropy, something like, luxurious stuff. And sometimes it's not bad to want these things. It's part of our lives. It's what we've grown up, and having that type of aspiration is good. All of us are different, but each and every one of us has some aspiration that you want to achieve. And then lastly goes to legacy. So what are you leaving? So this comes to your legacy. What are you leaving in terms of your generational wealth? What are you leaving for your family when, in case you pass away in the future? So this becomes very important. And what we try, just the previous one, what we try as Nabo is to help you achieve this depending on where you are. For many of us, we are starting from point one, but trying still to make sure we are secure in our food, our clothing, our shelter, that we have a home, we're able to educate our kids, we're able to have an emergency fund, let's say in case you lose your job. And some people have lost their job, especially during COVID. How do you survive during such hard times? And then beyond that, you're able to also to do more of aspirational things, and so we try to help you as Nabo Capital to get through that, and I'll talk to you how we do that. Next, please. And so what's investments? Simple definition, or somewhat, is investments is both an art and a science, okay? And so it's an art and science of allocating resources to opportunities. So there's two things you need to look at when you look at investments. You need to look at return and risk, okay? It's good to know what type of risk profile you are. Most young people have high risk tolerance. What does that mean? You can take more risk because you want to grow your money faster, okay? When you're older, you want to conserve the money you've made over time, so you have low risk. So it's good to have that assessment of what type of risk you want, and then balance that with return. In the law of finance, we say higher returns, higher risk. Lower return, lower risk, okay? So you have to balance both. If you want high returns, you can't have high returns with low risk, okay? So that helps you also. For some of us, how many of you have ever been conned? How many of you have been conned? I've been conned. How many of you have been conned? Good. If you notice, what's the common thread, similarity is, it's always they give you high returns, but they make it sound that it's very low risk, right? High return, low risk. I'll give you an example will be, nitakupatia, give me 100,000, I'll give you 200,000 by next week. Or by the end of the month, I'll double your money. Those are the type of cons we receive because it doesn't make sense where you're getting a lower risk and high return. So it's very important. So investments, key thing to note is those two things, return and risk. Okay. And so the most important ones to note for when it comes to financial markets, where investments are there's capital markets, where there is stocks. How many of us have heard of stocks? Okay, that's good. Bonds? Okay. And I'll go to the definitions for that for those of us who don't understand. Then you have our money market. And so our capital markets I've mentioned is stock and bonds, okay? I'll define them later. Money markets, it's short-term securities, investing for usually less than 1 year, okay? That is money market. And then you have your currency markets where people invest in different currencies like the dollar, the shilling, and even crypto investments for the young people who are familiar with that falls under currency markets, okay? And then lastly is commodity markets, which is investing in commodities such as cereals, livestock, metals. It's just for noting that. Next, please. Okay, so now the definitions for us. These are the most common investments you will see. now and into the future. They haven't changed. In 100 years, they've been the same thing. They've just changed a bit, but it's been the same thing, and in the future, it'll be exactly the same thing. So what are stocks? Stocks are ownership in a company. So when we purchase a stock, people have heard of Safaricom. Who has invested in the stock market, by the way? Good. You have some here? Okay. So when you invest in the stock market, you're investing in the ownership of a company, okay? So you're buying, for example, when you invest in Safaricom, you're basically becoming an owner of Safaricom through those shares, okay? So what is bonds? Bonds is debt that is issued typically by the government or a company, like treasury bonds issued by the government and corporate bonds issued by a company. Who has ever invested in bonds? Either in the past or now? Okay, not so many people. So usually the government, for example, the government of Kenya borrows a lot from the people. So the government of Kenya, when they are running their budget, they will raise money through KRA. But typically KRA doesn't give them enough money to pay for education, to pay for infrastructure, to pay for all these services they offer the people. So they'll have to borrow some amount of money from Kenya. They'll borrow from investors or people like ourselves. So when they borrow that amount of money, they issue you with a bond. And that bond, you will hold it for a period of time and you get a certain return, say 12%. Okay, so that is a bond. Basically, government borrowing from people. Derivatives, not so important in this given context, but it's usually financial contracts which are derived from others. So I won't talk too much about that. And then alternative assets. I'll speak a bit about this. This is where real estate falls in. Kununua shamba, this is where it is. However, what you've realized is you have ownership of, let's say, stocks, bonds, which typically sometimes give a better return than now real estate. Real estate is like buying apartment, buying land. Most of us, that's the custom. We buy land. You get any extra money, you buy land. And that happens to many of us, but you get stuck in those lands, as we've been given a testimony today. So it's good to have a balance, okay? So next, please. So now I'll talk about collective investment schemes. So this is where you've heard of the money market funds. Who've heard of money market funds? Yeah, money market funds, good. So what are these collective investment schemes? So these are money that are pulled together. So Charles brings his money, Felix brings his money, Coach Irene brings her money, and we put it in a pot. Imagine that, like a pot. And then it's invested. It's invested in what you've seen. It's invested in bonds. It's invested in deposits in a bank. And when you invest it together, it generates a return for everyone, okay? So that's how mutual funds work, or CISs. So basically, it's many people bringing their money together. For example, the Nabo money market fund is worth 4.5 billion shillings, okay? So this 4.5 billion shillings that we manage is over 6,000 people. 6,000 people are brought in. There's someone who's brought in 1,000 shillings. There's someone who's brought in 10 million shillings. There's a company which has brought in 100 million. All of you are together. And the good thing about CIS, or a collective investment scheme, all of you are earning the same return. And that's the beauty of investing in a money market or a fixed income fund, is that the same person who brought in 100 million and someone who brought in 10,000 shillings are earning the same return. So you can grow and get the opportunity as well. So that's what collective investment scheme. So if you ever see collective investment scheme or CIS, just understand it's the money market fund, it's a fixed income funds, okay? Can go next, please. And why is it important to invest in this when you're starting out, okay? It's important because you get, one, diversification. So you're getting return and good risk, okay? You're getting a balance of risk and return, as I mentioned. And your money is safe, so you have safety here, okay? So the chances of you losing your money is very, very, very small, okay? Second is you're able to access your money. at an affordable rate. You can invest as little as 1,000. Which land can you buy at 1,000 shillings? Which land can you buy at 10,000 shillings? Which land can you buy at 100,000 shillings? Very few lands, good ones, you can buy that with less than 1,000,000 shillings. And even if you to buy land, for example, for 1,000,000 shillings, you'll have to go ushago huko. And the value, to get that value back, is going to take you a very long time. But with as little as 1,000 shillings, you can invest in a CIS and get the same benefit that someone with 1,000,000,000 shillings can get. So very important to look at that. And then lastly is you're getting professional management. Okay, so someone who's worked, someone whose expertise and experience has been in the investment industry. I myself have been working for 8 years at Nabo Capital. I did finance as a degree, and throughout that journey, you get to see the markets, you get to see the experiences, the ups and downs, and through that experience, you're able to make better decisions for our investors. So you're getting someone who's experienced, who's an expert looking at your money. Your 1,000 shillings, your 10 million shillings, your 100 million shillings, we all look at it through collective investment schemes. So it's very important. Consider diversification, consider accessibility, and consider someone who's professionally managing your money. And then now, looking at the money market fund. So what is a money market fund? It's basically high, stable. It's basically, if I can define it, it seeks to provide high, stable current income and capital growth over the short term for the most part, okay? So you're able to grow your money over a short period of time, okay? So it's much better than putting your money in the bank. And it's able also to compound your money. When you put money in your bank, you receive what you call your interest and you stay with it. But compounding is basically your interest growing over time, and that's very important, okay? So I did this exercise. If you were to start with 10,000 shillings, okay, and you said, I'm going to invest 1,000 shillings per month for the next 10 years, okay? You start with 10,000, you invest 1,000 shillings for every month for the next 10 years consistently. Say, even in a money market fund, your amount will be over 500,000 Kenya shillings, guaranteed. Even the most simple money market fund, just consistently 1,000. That's not assuming you're earning a job. That's not assuming you get a good return, you get some good income, you increase it from 1,000 to 10,000, but consistently just growing it through compound interest. So it's very important, and this one's typically very low risk, and usually you get your money at any time. As fast as you put your money, easily you can get your money out. So very low risk and relatively high return compared to just putting your money in the bank, okay? Next. And then the fixed income. This one is preferable for investors looking to put money for a long period of time, okay? Typically more than 1 year. Fixed income fund, we recommend for someone to do that. And then you're able to grow your funds very well. And the returns are typically quite good, over 12% returns over time. So, and especially if you're looking to invest for the long run, right? You don't just to invest for 2025. You're looking to invest, so if you say you're retiring the next 20 years, you're secure. You're wealthy enough to to support yourself when you retire, when you don't have a job, then this is a very good fund to start with. And even as a student, and you have some pocket money and to put away, I recommend the fixed income fund because you're growing your money consistently over time, okay? And you can get in with as little as 1,000 shillings in some funds, as little as 10,000 shillings to start with, okay? And then now, I'd like to highlight something that we've been working collaboratively with TKC, the Kingdom Connect, and through with PDI. And this is a fund, a special fund. So this fund is catered for members of the TKC. And why it's a special fund is that it takes into account the needs of the members of TKC. And one of the key benefits of that is the same things that I talked about, but now catered for the investment requirements of TKC. The other ones are mandated by the government. The government tells you how to manage that fund. These ones, we sit down with TKC and we say, okay, what are the needs of your members? How do they want their money to grow? What type of return are they looking at? What type of risk? As I mentioned, risk and return, those two key things. You can't escape them. You have to talk about return and you have to talk about risk. What type of risk and return do they want? And then we invest accordingly, okay? Okay? And so we've been able to grow that fund over the last 2 or so years, and it's grown to over 100 members, and it's growing quite well. And we've seen good testimonials from some of the members who stood here today to talk about how they've invested. And this is something I think through PDI you can get more information around. And we are very happy to have partnered with TKC. We've seen how financial literacy has spread, and it's not something that you learn in school, unfortunately. I did finance for 4 years at Strathmore, and I wasn't taught how to invest. Yeah, I wasn't taught how to invest. I was taught how to theoretically manage money for other people, but I wasn't taught how should a child start investing. And you're getting great platforms through this forum, through PDI, to just better understand how to invest. And if you take advantage of that, I guarantee you, you will not regret it. And I think with that, just to finalize, where to start is next. Yeah, this next one. Yes, there. Just to finalize on my end, first step is trying to see, okay, there's this 3 cycle, okay? There's making money, multiplying money, and managing money. Making money is your source of return, your source of funds. Could be as a student, maybe you're getting some allowance here and there. As an employee, you're getting your salary. You have to have your own self-management of being aware that I need to invest. No one will do that for you. That starts from within. And that's why personal development is very important. You're able to understand that I have to put myself first in investing. Second is, how do I leverage that and grow my funds? As the master brought it, the master has given you the money. You've been given whatever talent you've been given. Now let's talk about it in talents, biblical language. The talents, the funds. I've been given 10,000, you've been given 1,000. We're very different. We're very, very different. But what are you doing with that? And starting investing that is the first step. Don't sit on your money. Don't waste your money. Start investing in it. And now you've been given all the resources to really start. And thirdly, now who do you give to steward that money? And that's why, like ourselves as Nabo Capital, we're here to steward that money, to ensure that your money is protected, to ensure your money is growing. So take advantage of that. Think about it that way. Try to be good custodians. So at the end of the day, Christ will say, well done, good and faithful. Thank you very much.
Let's speak about Nabo Chums.
Okay. Thank you, Dr. Rita. Okay. She's reminded me of something very important. So in collaboration, we have an app that we work with called Chums. Who's aware of Chums? Okay, fantastic. So Chums, you can download it. It's available on your Play Store, okay? You can download it and you can start investing. We work with Chums and you can start investing as little as 100 Kenya shillings. They have various goals over there that you can invest. So just, if you have your phones out, I'd encourage you, please download Chums. We work with them. We've been working with them. The fund has grown. Imagine the fund now has over 300,000 people. And the fund currently, it started with as little as 1,000 shillings. The fund now, as I'm speaking, is worth 1 billion shillings. From all the people, especially the students are the biggest ones, as well as young professionals, as well as anyone. I am personally, I'm in Chums. We're saying you're in Chums? Yes, Dr. Rita is in Chums. So I'd encourage you, if you want to start and you want to make your first step, do it as fast as you can. Is just download Chums from your Play Store. Start using it as little as 100 shillings. See how it grows. And then from there, you can now start looking at it. And what Chums does is just invest in money market fund. So it's the same thing. Okay? Chums. Oh, thank you. C-H-U-M-Z. C-H-U-M-Z. Okay? C-H-U-M-Z. Yeah, so you can access investments as quick as in 5-10 minutes using Chums as your first step towards growing your investment. And with that, thank you very much.